The Metropolitano erupted into a memory that Real Madrid will not soon forget. Atletico Madrid ripped through the rhythm of the season with a 5-2 comeback that left the white shirts reeling and an entire city buzzing. From the first whistle, the tone was ominous. Atletico pressed, clawed the ball back at midfield and forced Real into uncomfortable moments that ceded the early advantage. The scoreboard flickered and the roof seemed to rise as Atletico found the net first, a sharp reminder that derbies are a different kind of animal. Real answered quickly with bite, Kylian Mbappe swivelling and firing to draw his side level, and then Arda Güler, whose first-time finish briefly gave hope that the leaders would steady the ship. But that hope proved fleeting. By half-time the pendulum had swung and the game was wide open again. Then the second act arrived and Atletico's belief hardened into a relentless tide led by Julian Alvarez, who refused to let the moment pass him by. He stepped up, cool and clinical, converting a penalty and later bending a free kick that left the stadium in delirium. His double changed the complexion of the derby and stamped him as the match's heartbeat. Alexander Sørloth's aerial strike, a header driven into the net, and a late, emphatic finish from Antoine Griezmann completed the scoreboard, converting pressure into a statement 5-2 triumph that has already been framed as historic. What made this result so blunt and so newsworthy isn't just the 5 goals. It's the way Atletico imposed themselves, winning duels, dominating second balls and punishing tiny lapses that in a normal league game might have been shrugged off. Real's defensive shape faltered at critical moments. Positional mistakes, missed clearances and a series of duels lost in the air and at ground level left gaps that Atletico exploited. Observers and pundits were quick to single out the defensive pairings for sharp criticism, and player ratings from the aftermath underlined that the backline had a night to forget, a collapse that will force serious tactical questions in training this week. Xabi Alonso, who had overseen an unbeaten run but had looked like the foundation of something long-term, spoke after the match with the same restrained honesty that marked his pre-match reflections. "The defeat hurts," he said, "but it's also a lesson in intensity. Rhythm and competitiveness, elements Madrid failed to summon when it mattered most." The manager's message was one of accountability and construction. Real fans, though, hear a different note: urgency. For a club used to turning pressure into trophies, a result like this is more than a statistical blip, it's a red flag. Beyond the tactical autopsy sits the human theatre. Julian Alvarez, who has had moments where mistakes haunted him, converted this fixture into redemption. A man who made headlines for the right reasons on Derby Day. Atletico's defenders and midfielders, organised and brutal in their pressing, gave him the platform. Their cohesion allowed Alvarez to flourish in front of a roaring crowd that had smelled the possibility of a comeback and then celebrated like a long-buried city memory. The result also carries historical weight. Reports note that Atletico put 5 past Real for the first time in decades, a landmark that will be cited whenever this season is recounted. So where does Real go from here? The alarm bells are audible. Tactical tweaks, defensive reassignments and a psychological reset will all be required if Alonso's side are to reassert themselves at the top of La Liga. For Atletico, this victory is both bomb and loud proclamation. A team that can grind, then strike with venom. A squad that has reminded the city that derbies are never predictable. And for the neutrals and the pundits, the story is clear. Football remembers the nights that feel like earthquakes, and this was one of them. The coming days will be full of analysis. The headlines will sharpen and fans will demand answers. But for now, the Metropolitano has the bragging rights and the memory of a 5-2 that has already been carved into derby lore.